complicated nga topic, no, compared sa uban. Okay? So, ako anang gisan sa inyo no, ang inyong third module. Then, kanilang mag-comprise, ana, the home office and branch accounting and also the post test. So, you may already answer that one, but first, since wala pa man to siya na-discuss, you'll have to read your book first before mo maka-answer. So, if di mo magbasa, then maminaw mo, okay, sa discussion. Pwede dili magbasa, no? Okay, so let's have home office and branch accounting. So what is this home office and branch accounting? So I know you're already familiar with kuan, no, mga branch sa mga companies, no? There are a lot of companies nga kanang although their main office are in the big cities, for example, sa Manila, pero they extended branches, no? Diri sa mga provinces or other areas in the Philippines. So, in accounting, since kuan man na sila, no? Kanang more like related man silang duha, how do we account for a home office and its branch? Now, agencies and branches are established to decentralize operations or to expand into new markets. So by the way, dili lang dito mag-deal diri sa branch but also in an agency. But later on, we will differentiate what is a branch and what is an agency. So what is the purpose of establishing these two? So that is to decentralize operation or to expand into new market. So, di ba mo dyan ang purpose nga nung magtukod og kanang branches ang ato ang kaning mga companies, kaning mga businesses. More or less, that is to expand into new markets, no? Para ang customer, dili lang dito sa specific areas nila, but also mo expand pa siya sa other areas. The distinction between an agency and a branch is based upon the functions assigned to the organization as well as the degree of independence that it assumes in the exercise of such functions. So, the difference between agency and branch lies upon their functions and their independence. Agencies are simple extensions of the home office. Branches generally are with regulated autonomy to operate as independent entity. So, ang agent, pareho silang duhang extension sa home office, but ang agency, these are only simple extensions, or there are more or less dependent pa sila sa home office. Ang branches, more or less, independent na sila, no? So no need kung naay mamalit sa ilaha, so no need na ang kanang guidance sa home office, no? The branches can operate on their own. Walang agency, usually sa agency kanang wala sila'y kanang let's say available nga or display nga products nga pwede baligya. More or less kaning mga agencies kana ang display lang ang ilaha, mga sample lang. But whenever manager mo order sa ilaha, then they would have to kanang contact the home office para mag-deliver sa ilang products. Now, to differentiate them further, here is the sales agency and the branch. So for a sales agency, it displays merchandise and takes customers' orders but does not carry stock of merchandise to fill customers' orders. So sa akong giingon, naka-display lang, no? Pero if ever si customer mo purchase na siya kato na sa display, dili to mo ilang ibaligya. They would have to contact first the home office kay para ang home office mao ang mag-deliver sa ilahang mga baligya, no? So mga samples lang ang ibutang dito sa ilahang store. Now in a branch, so of course we already know what a branch is. It carries stock of merchandise used to fill customers' orders or to provide services similar to those provided by the home office. So ang branch, of course, dira na kamo palit diretsyon na nasalay available dira nga mga products. So, kumbaga ang sales agency, dili lang sila maka-fill in sa imong order, ang branch maka-fill in na sa diretso because naa naman sila stocks. Ang agencies, wala sila available stocks to fill in the orders of the customer, but rather kinahanglan pa nila mo contact dito sa home office. That is why agency is regarded as a simple extension of the home office. Now next we have, for sales agency, customers' orders are sent to the home office for approval of credit. Customers remit payments directly to the home office. So, kumbaga ang agency class, kumbaga mura na siya agent, di ba? Kanang agent, kay murag siya lang man ang middleman. No? Sa iya lang gipaagi ang mga orders, sa iya lang gipaagi ang mga kanang information, mga details about sa mga order, but ang payment, diretso sa home office, mubayad si customer. As to the approval of credit, walay capacity si agency nga mo decide whether to approve the credit of the customer or not. But rather, mo contact pa siya dito sa home office. When a branch, it grants credit in accordance with the company's policies, makes normal warranties, fill customers' order, and makes collection on sales. Okay? So, as you can see, kumbaga independent na jud sila. No? There are a lot of branches. Like for example, kanang mga malls, di ba? Mga malls, mga SM, Gaisano, and such other malls, there are a lot of branches in which they operate independently, di ba? Kung mapalit ka sa Gaisano, the Gaisano do not need to contact the home office first before that ma-receive ato ang order. It's because available na dito sa Gaisano ang mga stocks. Okay? Mga groceries, Robinsons, and all. So actually class kanang natay branch accounting. Okay? Then naapod tayo kanang franchise accounting. So ang franchise accounting, nag-deal na siya sa kanang franchise fees, no, sa mga franchise revenues. Well, kaning home office and branch accounting, nagdeal ni sila mismo sa operations. Okay, katulad yung pagpalit sa mga customers, pag-operate mismo sa entity. Franchise accounting only deals with the revenue recognition on the part of the franchisor. Okay, not the operations. Unlike sa branch accounting, no, ang mga journal entries sa operations ang iyahang gidil. Okay, mo na difference nilang duha. Now, next, sales agency holds revolving cash fund provided by the home office that is replenished when depleted. No other cash funds are held. So, saan na may kwarta nga hawiran ni sales agency? Di ba si customer, kung mubayad sila, remit man na diretso sa home office, no? Diretso na nila ibayad sa home office. Customers remit payments directly to the home office. Dili na moagi sa agency ang lahang kwarta. Therefore, unsa ra may gihawiran nga cash ani ni sales agency? That would only be the cash fund that is provided by the home office, and it will also be replenished when depleted. Wala na yung other cash funds. So, ang mahitabuan is just like the impressed fund system. For example, ang gihawiran nga cash fund ni agency is, let's say, 20,000 for the needed expenses sa ilahang agency, sa ilahang store. Let's say, mga utilities, mga rent, no? Ingana. So, kana lang ilahang gihawiran nga cash. Let's say, pito kong giingon, panimot ko, let's say, 20,000. So, pag mubayad na sila, pareha na yung press fund system sa petty cash fund ba? No? Let's say, bayad sila o renta, 5,000. So, at the end of the period, i-replenish na ni home office. So, kung 20,000 to, ilahang nagasto is 5,000. By the end of the period, mag-replenish si home office by 5,000 para mubalik sa iyahang total na 20,000. Okay, impressed fund system ang ginagamit sa sales agency. While in a branch, it has its own assets and liabilities and generates its own revenues and incur its own expenses, makes periodic remittances to home office subject to company policy. Okay? So, just like sa atong pagkahibalo sa isa ka independent nga business, mo ang ginabuhat sa branch. Okay? And then, kanilang branch is that since kuan man siya no branch naman siya ni home office, dili nagpasabot nga independent siya. Siya na lang jud tanan, no? There are times in which the home office will ship merchandise to the branch. So naa lang gihapon sa transactions with each other, no? Si home office mag-ship og merchandise sa ilang branch. For example, parehaan ng kuan. Let's say, pareha ng mga Jollibee and McDo, di ba? Just like, pareha sa McDo, haman gikan na ang ilahang mga baligya, mga chicken, mga fries, di ba? Gikan man na sa ilahang main office, no? Gi-deliver na diri sa pagadian. So, wala na ingon nga ang McDo na malit dito sa Robinsons, na malit dito sa Gaisano, sa mga chicken, sa mga fries. But it was delivered by the home office. So, independent sila when it comes to operation, pero dili po siya absolute independence. No? And then, napod sila periodic remittances. Okay, depends upon the company policy. And then we have the last differentiation. In a sales agency, it is not regarded as a separate accounting entity. The only accounting records maintained are cash receipts and cash disbursement books, necessarily to account for the revolving funds, similar to a petty cash system. The main office maintains records of sales made through the agency and the expenses it incurs. So, sales agency is not treated as a separate accounting entity. Therefore, wala sila kaugalingon nga books. What they have is only a list of the cash receipts and a list of cash disbursements. And then, just like what I've said kaganiha, kung nasa sila magasto, then i-replenish lang ang ilahang fund ni home office. While unlike ang branch is treated as a separate accounting entity for internal reporting. Okay? It maintains its own complete set of accounting records. So, internal reporting lang. So, that means ang ilahang reporting of financial statements nga in which gitreat sila as separate, kana lang internal, within the management lang ang mulanta. While for external reporting, they are treated as combined with the home office. Therefore, the branch's financial statements are combined with the home office's financial statements. So class, just like in a business combination, di ba, in a business combination, for internal reporting purposes, the parent and the subsidiary are treated as separate accounting entity. However, for external reporting purposes, they are treated as one. No, they are combined. So they will have their combined financial statements. So in a business combination, if we are going to eliminate some journal entries, just like nakalimot na ko sa business combination, marag kanang investment in subsidiary, di ba, kanang mga accounts, di ba, mag-eliminate ana and presenting in the combined financial statements. Ing ana pud sa home office and branch accounting, there are journal entries that needs to be eliminated para mag-present for external reporting. Okay? So that is the theory part of the home office and branch accounting. Okay. So napadi ay gamay nga definition. Accounting for agency, because agencies do not maintain its own set of accounting records. All its transactions are recorded in the books of the home office. So, kumbaga, ang mga journal entries ani class, okay? Ang mga journal entries ni agency kinsa ang mag-record dito ni home office. Okay, so what I've said, ang ilahalang i-maintain is only the cash disbursements and cash receipts books. If the home office would like to determine viabilities of the agencies, real and nominal accounts for the agency are identified in the home office books to facilitate such determination. Otherwise, the agency items are merged without identification with those of home office. So, let's say for example, nagbayad og rent expense. So, kinsa may mo record sa journal entry ana, di ba si home office. Now, para of course, para ma-differentiate pod or para mahibawan po nato, aha diri ang sa home office, aha diri ang sa agency. So whenever magbayad siya og expenses sa agency, they will have to identify it. For example, rent expense dash ABC agency. Okay? So butangan jud siya og label. So accounting for branches, the branch has its own complete set of accounting records. Therefore, all its transactions, including those with the home office, are recorded in its books. So the branches has their own books. It also presents its own set of financial statements, income statement, balance sheet, and statement of cash flows. Of course, na sila yung own nga financial statements or separate financial statements. But because the branch is but a part of the home office, therefore, this set of financial statements are not acceptable for general purposes. So, di ba, as I've discussed, for external reporting, they are treated as one. They are treated as combined. So, therefore, whatever is the financial statements prepared by the branch, it is not generally accepted. So, that's why they will have to be combined with the home office. Okay? And since the home office is just also part of the whole organization, its own set of financial statements is also not acceptable for general purposes. That's why their separate financial statements are only for internal reporting. So that is only for the internal management to identify which branches or which home or whether the home office is still profitable or not. Okay, so for internal reporting for decision-making purposes. But for external reporting, para sa mga stakeholders nila, mga external na stakeholders, external users of the financial statements, they will have to be combined. These two different sets of financial statements are internal to each of the reporting entities. Combined financial statements must be prepared, taken as one and the same to meet the requirements of general purpose statements. A branch and its home office represent two accounting systems, but just one accounting and reporting entity. The records of the home office and the branch are linked by two reciprocal accounts. So mao na ni ang reciprocal accounts na makita nato, which we will have to eliminate in our combined financial statements. So we have the home office equity or home office current, okay, home office equity account in the books of the branch, and the investment in branch or branch current account. Okay? So in the books of the home office. And the part of the branch, makakita ta sa iyahang shareholders equity dito, makakita ta og home office equity. On the part of the branch, on the part of the branch, again, makakita ta sa iyahang owner's equity account niya, home office equity. On the part of the home office, makakita po sa iyahang assets dito og investment in branch. Pwede po na siya home office current o branch current. Because they are reciprocal, it means that the two accounts always have the same balance. Okay, they should be balanced all the time. Although the investment in branch is a debit account as a non-current asset and the home office equity is a credit account as an equity. So they need to be balanced. Okay, so ang kaning mga reciprocal accounts nato, they represent the transactions of the home office and branch with each other. Okay, so the two accounts frequently show different balances on a temporary basis due to errors and items in transit. Okay, so there may be times that they are not balanced. First, kung namali og record, and second, when the items are in transit. So that's why natay mga problems that involves kanang determination of adjustments, okay, for the home office equity and the investment in branch. So we will have to consider nganong kulang ni siya, so we will have to consider whether there are errors and kay kinsa na nga error, whether kang home office ba or kang branch, or whether there are items in transit. So in that case, kung naay items in transit, so that means on the part of the home office na record na niya. But on the part of the branch, kay in transit pa man, wala pa man naabot, so wala pa niya na record. So temporarily, they are not yet balanced. Now, what if matungdan nga kanang in transit is at the end of the reporting period? So that is why kinahanglan nato sila balansihon. A very important aspect of the study of the home office and branches is the reconciliation of the reciprocal balances. You will find there in your post test, no? Now we have items there that would require you to reconciliate the reciprocal balances. Okay, these are examples of the journal entry. Okay, so transfer of cash from the home office. So gikan ni home office. So that would be debit, investment in branch, credit, cash. On the part of the branch, debit, cash, credit, home office, and equity. So di ba class, murara jud ka nang nag-invest, no? On the part of the home office, nag-invest siya sa branch. So credit cash, no? Siya man ang nagbayad. And the part of the branch, since nag-invest si home office niya, so home office part siya sa equity. So debit, cash, credit, home office. So pwede nga mag-remit na si branch. So pabaliktad na po, debit, cash, credit, investment in branch, debit, home office, equity, credit, cash. Okay, transfer of merchandise from home office at cost. Okay, so natay duha class at cost and above cost. So kung at cost na siya, debit, investment in branch, credit to shipments to branch. Okay, kana ni siyang merchandise nga gi-deliver from home office to the branch. On the part of the branch, so mo increase po the home office equity, and then on the part of the branch, that would be a debit to shipments from home office. Okay? Shipments to branch, shipments from home office. Next, transfer of merchandise from home office at above cost. So there are times, class, nga ang iingon ni home office nga price dito kang branch is above cost. Let's say for example, dapat 100 pesos lang unta. So kung at cost, o debit 100, investment in branch, credit shipments 100. Dire, debit shipments from HO 100, credit HO equity 100. Now, how about if that is above cost? There are times kayong anak, kay para na siya since let's say for example, above cost. So, ang actual cost niya is only 100. Pero ang giingon ni home office is 125. Kay para si branch, maningkamot siya to be more kanang, saba, para mas makabaligya og daghan or to be more profitable, no? Since murag kanang kuan man, mas mahal man ang price nga iyahang nadawat. So, para mas mahimo siyang more profitable. Okay? So, let's say, kanang since gamay ra man ang iyang gross profit kay mahal man ang cost, so pwede nga mag-adjust siya sa iyang expenses, no, or mas daghan pa nga merchandise ang iyang dapat ibaligya. Okay, so mo na siya ang effect. Now, what is the journal entry for that? So for example, di ba 100 dayon kanang transfer at above cost, so 125 ang gipresyo. So that would be, of course, dapat balance lang gihapon ang investment in branch and HO equity. So, pila ang shipments to branch on the part of the home office? That is 100. Pila ang allowance for overvaluation? Mo to ang gidungag na 25. So, for the investment in branch, that would be debit 125, credit shipment 100, credit allowance for overvaluation 25. So, on the part of the branch, since ang iyang naibawan man is 125, so debit shipment 125, credit home office equity 125. Balance lang gihapon ang investment in branch and HO equity, but the shipments are not balance. Okay? So, payment by branch expenses and so on. Ato na ni siyang i-discuss together with the problems. Okay, so we have, okay, build at cost at karon. Okay, build at cost. And then we have working paper adjustments, elimination of intercompany balances, and adjusting entries. Okay. So, kani siya, elimination of company balances. Gibaliktad lang, no? Para ni siya for the purpose of external reporting. Okay? For the purpose of external reporting. So, you debit the HO equity and then you credit the investment in branch. Para sa external reporting, walay makita dito ng mga reciprocal accounts because that is only internal to the company. Okay? So, we also have here, when a company is composed of a home office and more than one branch, the home office records include a separate investment in branch account and a separate allowance for overvaluation account for each branch. Okay, so naingani ha, matakal po ni nato nga more than one ang branch. So there problems arise when okay, so first kung more than one ang branch, of course they will have to identify unsa nga branch no para mahibaw-an sa ato ang mga account title. Now, usually problems arise here if ever let's say si home office nag-deliver siya og merchandise unya kay ibis kang branch A kang branch B niya na-send. So sa may tabuan na, so si branch B kinahanglan niya i-pasa dito kang branch A. So hanap po ta magproblema no sa freight na pod. What is the treatment of the freight? Okay, so maagian na nato siya. Okay, so let's have this journal entry. Okay, I will accept questions sa pagumunan. Kadali lang. Okay, so requirements, journalize the above transactions for both agency and home office and prepare separate and combined income statement for agency and home office. Okay, so this is problem 1, agency accounting. Okay, number 1. Diag Trading established a sales agency, the Antonio Agency. Its transactions are recorded as separate records from the home office transactions. Transactions during 2016 are as follows. Okay, first, establishment of working fund for the agency, 50,000. So class, take note ha, in the case of agency accounting, only the home office will have its journal entries. Kaya wala may journal book si agency, just the cash receipts and cash disbursement na books. Okay? So si home office lang ang mag-record. So that would be debit to working fund. And then of course, you specify there Antonio Agency. And credit to cash. Okay, so we have here 50,000 pesos. Okay, so that is the first journal entry. Next, ship merchandise to agency for use as sample. So, kanina siyang, para sa agency po, no, kanana po siya mapakita nga sample sa customer since wala man siya stocks nga available. Pero kani siya for display purposes lang. So, mag-deliver si home office dito kay kang agency. So, sa may journal entry ana, that would be debit to samples inventory of Antonio Agency. And then credit to, you have there, shipments to Antonio Agency. Shipments to Antonio Agency by how much? You have there 20,000 pesos. Okay, next, number 3. Purchase of agency equipment, 20,000 on January 1 with 5-year useful life without salvage value. So, just like how we record acquisition of equipment. So, debit equipment. But take note, since kang agency money, we should identify. Okay, identify na to para dili siya masagol sa ato ang own equipment sa home office. So, debit equipment and then credit cash for an amount of 20,000 pesos. Next, number 4, sales orders from agency, 300,000 pesos. Okay? Sales orders. So that would be na may sales plus, no? And if the problem is silent, we treat this one as sales on account. Okay? And we can also know whether this is sales on account because here in number 7, you can see their collections of accounts receivable or agency accounts. So that means that this sales is accounts receivable. So debit, accounts receivable. So do not forget to put Antonio Agency and credit sales Antonio Agency. That is 300,000. Next, number 5. Payment of salaries to employees of agency, 10,000. Other agency expenses paid by the home office, 5,000. Okay, so si home office mismo ang bayad diretso dito sa employees ng agency and other agency expenses. So debit, salaries, expense, Antonio Agency, and debit, other expenses, Antonio Agency. By how much? We have 10,000 and 5,000. So that is credit to cash, 15,000 pesos. Next, number 6. The following expenses were incurred out of working fund. Utilities, 12,000. Advertising expense, 10,000. And miscellaneous expense, 8,000. So, class, pareha ng petty cash fund, diba? Kung nana dito ni cashier ang petty cash fund, kung sa'y magasto ni cashier, dili sila to i-record. Kaya nga naman, wala pa man ag-report sa to ni cashier. I-report naman na siya at the end of the reporting period. In this case, wala pa pud nakabalo, no? So, expenses that were incurred by the agency, nara na dito sa ilahang cash disbursement book. So, in this case, there will be no entry. And of course, this is impressed fund system. So, sa agency, wala po siya i-record nga journal entry. Okay, ato ara ning ma-record ni iyahang expenses at the end of the reporting period kung maghatag na siyang report and of course, kung mag-replenish na ta sa funds niya. Okay? So number 7, collections of agency accounts, 200,000, debit, cash, and credit, accounts, receivable, Antonio Agency, that is 200,000. Next, number 8. Okay, so you have there end of the year adjustments. So ang gikinahanglan man sa requirements is adjusting and closing entries. So let's start first with the adjustment. So first, we have cost of goods sold identified with the agency, 180,000. Okay, so cost of goods sold, so that means katong mga nabaligya na nato. So, we will record cost of goods sold, Antonio Agency, and the credit for that would be shipments to Antonio Agency. So, this means class nga natay giship nga merchandise dito sa mga customers ni Antonio Agency. Okay, so that cost 180,000. And then next adjusting entry, we have letter B. Agency's working fund had not been replenished. Okay, so wala na replenish class. Class, kung ma-replenish ni siya, diba, we will record the expenses and then credit cash. Pero just like a petty cash fund, kung di siya ma-replenish, so record the expenses and then you decrease the balance of the fund. So just like this one. So, working fund had not been replenished. At also, ang i-record ang mga expenses nga na-incur ni agency. So that is debit, utilities, expense, Antonio Agency, 12,000. Advertising expense, Antonio Agency, 10,000. And miscellaneous expense, Antonio Agency, 8,000 pesos. So class, again, kung replenishment na ni siya, di ba, mag-record tag expense and then credit to cash, no? Kung di-replenish, kaya wala man daw gi-replenish, so what are we going to do is to deduct the balance of the working fund. So debit, working fund, Antonio Agency. Okay, we have 12,000 plus 10,000 plus 8,000, that is 30,000 pesos. So as of this moment, pila naman ang balance sa working fund? 50,000 minus 30,000 na balance nga 20,000. Okay, and then next, depreciation expense for agency equipment. So that would be debit, depreciation expense, Antonio Agency. And credit, of course, accumulated depreciation, Antonio Agency. By how much? Diba? The equipment is 20,000 with 5-year useful life without salvage value. So that is 20,000 pesos divided by 5. So you have 4,000 as our depreciation. And lastly, agency samples inventory amounted to 5,000 net realizable value. So class, take note, ang atoang sample ganiha, diba? The amount, the cost is 20,000 pesos. Money ang worth sa mga samples. However, di ba, dili mo na siya forever nga mao na jud ang iyang quality, no? Pwede nga, kung, let's say, kung consumable, ang uban mapanos, ang uban maguba, ang uban ma-expire, no? Ingana. So, we will have to record for the loss, okay, on the changes in its net realizable value. So, class, if the cost of the samples inventory is 20,000 and then ang net realizable value na lang niya karon is 5,000. So that means na ning decrease siya by 15,000. Now, ahaman nato na siya i-account. Now, since ang purpose naman ani mga samples is for display, so that means that is only for advertisement. So what are we going to record is a debit to advertising expense. Okay? And what is the credit? That is credit to, as you can see there, samples inventory. Okay, so debit advertising expense, credit samples inventory. So do not forget to put Antonio Agency. So since 20,000 to before, karon 5,000 na lang, there is an advertising expense of 15,000 pesos. Okay, so take note of this. Okay, so that is for the adjusting entries. Okay, butang diri. Number 8 is adjusting entries. Now, class, how about in the closing entries? So, in the closing entries, first, we will have to closing entries. So, unsa gayto atong i-close? First, we will have to close the sales. Okay? So, i-close na to ang sales ni Antonio Agency. So, that would be debit to sales and credit to income summary Antonio Agency. By how much? Pila to atong sales? We have sales of 300,000 pesos. So, debit 300,000 pesos, credit 300,000 pesos. Next is to close the cost of goods sold. Diba? We identified the cost of goods sold worth 180,000. So, debit cost of goods sold. Debit income summary. Income summary sa. Debit income summary and credit cost of goods sold. Okay? Oops. Okay, so that amounts to 180,000 pesos. Okay, so next is to close the expenses. Okay, so debit, income summary, and credit the expenses. So what are the expenses? So, kanilang tanang expenses nga na diri, you have there salaries expense and other expenses. Ano na i-copy? Salaries expense and other expenses, 10,000 and 5,000. So, sa pailain, you have there utilities, advertising, and miscellaneous. Okay? Utilities, advertising, and miscellaneous, you have 12, 10, and 8. And then we also have depreciation expense. Okay, depreciation expense of 4,000 pesos. And then we have advertising expense of 15,000. So ato na siyang idugang diri sa daan nga advertising expense. So plus 15,000 pesos. So how much is the total expenses? So you just add everything. That is 64,000 pesos. Okay, so that is income summary. Now, lastly is to close this income summary of Antonio Agency. At ano siyang isagol sa general nga income summary. Okay, so pila may balance sa atong income summary ani ron. You have there, ako magbuhat na lang ko kuan class kanang P account. Okay, income summary P account. Okay, for the income summary, you have there credit 300,000, debit 180,000, and debit 64,000. So pila may balance ani ron? 180 plus 64, bali-bali. Dire na siya. 300 minus 180 minus 64, that is 56,000 pesos. We will have to close this 56,000 pesos to the general income summary account. Okay, so since credit ba ni siya class, ato siyang i-debit. So debit, income summary at Antonio Agency, and credit the general account for the income summary. Katumpara na jud sa both home office and branch. So that is 56,000 pesos. Okay, so that is how you journalize for the agency transaction. So, next question is to prepare separate and combined income statement for agency and home office. So, income statement, no? So, ang mahitabo na lang ani class is parehara ng normal nga income statement. You start with the sales. Of course, isagol na nato ang sales. Then you have their beginning inventory, purchases, ending inventory. Okay? Beginning plus purchases minus ending. Then you have their salaries, utilities, isagol na lang ni sila tanan. Okay? Because of course, under sa combined class, isagol kay external reporting man. No? Then utilities, then advertising, miscellaneous. Okay, so unsa ray kalahian ani? Sa separate, lahi-lahi nila nga financial nga income statement. Okay, sa combined, sige ako na lang buhaton para koan, para klaro. Okay, income statement. Let's start with the sales less cost of goods sold. Then you have there beginning inventory plus purchases, then minus ending inventory, and then you will get the cost of goods sold. Next is the expenses, and then you list down all the expenses. So let's start first with the home office. Okay, for the home office, you have there the information, sales 1,200,000. For the cost of goods sold, you have their beginning inventory 100,000, purchases 800,000, and ending inventory lang ha. Ending inventory 50,000 pesos. So class, by the way, on the part of the home office, di ba, naman siya shipments, no? Naman siya shipments to Antonio Agency. So we also have to deduct that one in their income statement. Okay? So, shipments to Antonio Agency amounting to pila kaha. You have there 20,000 pesos na shipment, and aside from that kanipong nabaligya shipments to Antonio Agency 180,000. So there is shipments amounting to 200,000. Okay, so kawasan ni siyang i-negative. Okay, 200,000. So, how much kaha ang cost of goods sold? The cost of goods sold on the part of the home office is, okay, so you just solve this one. We have 650,000. So, sales of 1,200,000, cost of goods sold of 650. So, how much is our gross profit? So, you have 1,200,000 minus 650, that is 550,000. And then you list down all the expenses. So, first we have salaries, utilities, advertising, and miscellaneous, and depreciation. Okay, so you just list down everything. You have their salaries of 90,000, utilities of 30,000, advertising of 25,000, miscellaneous expense 15,000, and depreciation 24,000. So the net income now on the part of the home office is from gross profit minus blah blah blah. So you have there 366,000 kang home office. Now how about kang branch? Okay, so the part of the branch, ng taon na to ang closing entries class, no? Kaya naman diri tanan. Closing entries, sales 300,000. So sales 300,000. Cost of goods sold is already identified. That is 180,000. So how much then is the gross profit? 300 minus 180, that is 120,000. For the expenses, you have their salaries 10,000, other expense 15,000. So salaries 10,000. So we will add here other expense. Ito 5,000. Okay, others 5,000. Then you also have utilities 12,000, advertising 25. Okay, utilities 12,000, advertising 25. And then isa pa, miscellaneous 8,000, depreciation 4,000. Miscellaneous 8,000, depreciation 4,000. So how much is our net income? Okay, so how our net income is gross profit minus expenses. We have 56,000 for the on the part of the branch. So class, if you are familiar with the amount 56,000, mao po na siya ang amount na to ang gi-close diri sa income summary. Okay, the balance of the income summary, that is 56,000, so that serves as our profit. Okay, and lastly, in the combined financial statements, okay, sige, sa branch class, since, ayun na lang, sakto na din. Okay, so sa combined financial statements class, um, what are we going to do, or what are you going to do is just to combine, to add everything. Now, take note that in the combined financial statements, dili na dapat makita ning shipments to Antonio Agency. Okay? So, dili na siya dapat makita. So, for the combined financial statements, you just add everything. Okay, kani, and then diri, taman, diri. Okay, that is the combined financial statements. Ito ba ni? 100. Ano man eh? Okay, 366 plus 56. Dili lagi. Dili lang ha. Okay, madam. Okay, so that is 422 as the combined. So again, ha, take note, in the combined financial statements, um, we do not present those accounts nga related lang nilang duha. Okay, we will have to eliminate. Okay, so in the part of the home of on the part of the home office, the net income is 366, and the branch 56, and on the combined financial statements, that is 422,000 pesos. Okay, so that is for the agency accounting. So class, we will answer some sample problems here, multiple choice nga problems para makabalupod ta no unsaon ang mga multiple choice nga problems. So, I'm going to add here another sample problem. So, we have number 1. Question. Net income of the agency for the 2 months ended December 31, 2017. Okay. On November 1, 2017, the main office established a sales agency. The main office sent samples of its merchandise amounting to 16,800. Okay, sample. And the working fund amounting to 144,000 to be maintained on the impressed basis. The samples sent were intended to last until July 1, 2018. So meaning, kani siya, ma-expire daw ni siya until July 1, 2018. During the first 2 months of operation, the agency transmitted to the home office sale of goods costing 583,200. So, class mo ni siya ang sales ni agency. But the home office were not able to fill up 25% of the said transmitted sales orders. Collection from customers amounted to 147,882 net of 2% sales discount. Payments made by the agency during November and December were as follows. Okay, November, December are as follows. We have annual rent of 115,200. Did somebody raise their hand? Miss Flores, do you have any concern?
Ay, ma'am, excuse me, kanang like, ay, ambot, nagdibog lang ko, or natapit ako sa consolidated, ma'am, kay anak man ka na iwala to ang shipment. So,
Oh.
dili, ang cogs ay maura gihapon niya ang total sa ang cogs.
What I mean na mawala ang shipment is that dili na pasabot nga dili na siya i-minus of 200. Kuan lang siya, it will this amount would not reflect. Dili siya mo reflect sa ato ang combined financial statements. But it doesn't mean nga dili na siya ma-minus. Same effect lang gihapon as to the total. But as to the presentation, dili ka makakita og shipments to Antonio Agency. Dili na to siya appeal of percent sa financial statements. But as to the cost of goods sold, it will have the same amount. Okay? Kuan lang
Okay,
gihapon. Total lang gihapon nilang daw. Okay? Sige, so as to the presentation lang class. So, it doesn't mean kanang dili na nato siya i-minus, like kanang walaon nato siya sa kuan sa computation, dili. Same lang gihapon. Na ang kumbaga, the effect is still the same. But as to the presentation, dili lang ta magpakita nga na ay shipments to Antonio Agency because that is only their personal transactions. Okay, so kanang within internal lang siya nga transactions within the entity. It is not related to transactions between the entity and other entities. Okay, so same effect lang siya. When you solve, so kung mag-solve mo sa inyong problems nga ma-encounter, so you still deduct this one. Okay, sa presentation lang, dili siya mapit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay? So, sorry dahil wala di ko nakakuan ganyan question, no? Sige, after this one, mag-accept ako question. Okay, let's first answer this number 1. Okay, so depreciation 20% per annum. The gross profit rate is 20% of the gross sales. Question, pila daw ang net income for the 2 months ended December 31, 2017. So starting from November 1 to December 31, 2017. So net income na siya. So we will compute for the net income starting from sales, no, minus cost of goods sold minus the expenses. So first, how much is the sales? Accordingly, the agency transmitted to the home office sale of goods costing 583,200. So kanisha, this is the selling price. Okay, not the cost of goods sold, but the selling price. So that is 583,200. But the home office were not able to fill up 25% of the said transmitted sales order. So this means nga, ang nabaligya lang is only 75%. So that is 583,200 multiplied by 75%. So you only have there sales amounting to 437,400. Now take note that we also have sales discount of 2%. Okay, 2% sales discount. But that 2% will be based on the 147,882 because these are the only actual sales discount. So that would be less sales discounts of how much? So since this 147,882 is already net of the sales discount, so this means that this amount is 98% of the gross selling price. So, to get the 100%, diba, 147,882 divided by 98%. That is to get the gross selling price. Now, since we want to get the sales discount, so i-multiply na po nato siya og 2%. Okay, so again, 147,882 divided by 0.98 times 2%. So kung naimang utana, hagikan ang 98%, that is only the reciprocal of the 2%. Okay, 100% minus 2%, that is 98%. So this is now the net sales. So next is the cost of goods sold. So how much is the cost of goods sold? Since the gross profit rate is 20% of the gross sales, so that means that the cost of goods sold is 80%. Okay, so we simply multiply or we simply get the 80% of the gross sales. So that would be 437,400 multiplied by 80%. So that is 349,920. Okay, so after this one, you will get the gross profit. Pero ito na idiretso ha, last na ta sa expenses. Okay, so what are the expenses? So first, we have advertising expense. Okay, una pa di ay rent. Okay, first we have the rent. For the rent, the annual rent is 115,200. But last, take note that ang atong operation is 2 months pa lang. So that means we should not record as expense the whole amount of 115,200 because this refers to the 12-month period. 2 months pa lang ta. So kuha na to ang proportion sa 2 months. So that would be 115,200 times 2 over 12. So you will get 19,200. Next, for the advertising, so diretso naman ng advertising, that is 11,200. And utilities, that is 14,400. Now, it also purchased an equipment worth 18,000, which will be depreciated at 20% per annum. So we also have to record depreciation. Okay, so for the depreciation, that is 18,000 pesos times 20%. But take note, na kaning 20%, that is still annually. Okay? 20% per annum. Since 2 months pa lang man ta, so we again have to get the proportion of the 2 months. Okay, and now the ratio of the 2 months period ended. So times 2 over 12. So that is 600 pesos depreciation. Now class, aside from this one, di ba kaganiha sa tong problem, nag-record man ta og advertising expense. Okay, advertising expense which refers to the samples inventory. Kay na-spoil man daw ang samples inventory. Now in this problem, as you can see, giingon sa problem that the samples sent were intended to last until July 1, 2018. So that means, kung mag-last siya July 1, 2018, ay assume na to nga every month magkagamay ang iyahang value. Okay? So from 16,800, from November 1, 2017, the cost is 16,800. Nya mag-last raman siya for up to July 1, 2018. Pila naman na siya ka month, starting from November 1, and then December 1, January 1, February 1, March 1, April 1, May 1, June 1, and July 1. So that is 8 months. So kumbaga, kung equipment pa ni siya, 8 months ang iyang life. So every month ato siyang i-depreciate, no, kung equipment. Pero kay kuan man ni siya inventory, so dili po depreciation ang tawag, no. Kumbaga i-write off lang nato ang mga amount pertaining to the months nga ning labay. Okay, so that would be an additional advertising expense. So class, ako ano lang siyang ilahi ha para ma-determine na to. So this is the advertising expense for the samples inventory. So pila man ang advertising expense? Since that is 16,800, ang mag-last lang siya for 8 months, so divided by 8. Times pila pa man ka months ang nilabay, that is from November 1. So December 1 and December 31, that is 2 months. So 16,800 divided by 8 times 2, or pwede po 16,800 times 2 over 8. Okay, so you have there advertising expense of 4,200. So how much is the net income of the entity? So starting from the sales down, you have 34,862. Okay, 34,862. That is letter B. Okay, do you have any question? Questions? You may raise your hands. Okay, wala ra? Wala questions? Then we'll proceed to the next. Okay? So next, problem 2, branch na ta. Okay, branch accounting. Now, problem 2, branch was billed at cost. Okay, so problem 2, branch was billed at cost. So, what do you mean aning build at cost? Parehas akong example ganiha, di ba? Pwede man build at cost, pwede po build above cost. So, let's say, kung tag 100 ang item, ang gihatag na nga presyo ni home office ana to the branch is only 100. But if that is build above cost, 100 ang gihatag nga presyo, 125, let's say, ang gihatag nga presyo, pero ang actual presyo niya is only 100. In this case, branch was billed at cost. Okay, so no problem as to the allowance for overvaluation. Okay, so integrated corporation, which prepares financial reports at the end of the calendar year, established a branch on April 1, 2016 in Tacloban City. The following transactions occurred during the formation of the branch and its operations through December 31, 2016. Okay, number one. Okay. The Home Office sent 28,672 cash to the branch to begin operation. So by the way, since this is already branch accounting, both the Home Office and the branch will have to make their journal entries. Okay, so duha ta dire on the part of the Home Office. Okay, on the part of the Home Office and on the part of the branch. Okay. So, let's start first with the Home Office. The Home Office sent 28,672 cash to the branch to begin operation. So, that would be a debit to investment in branch. Okay? Investment in branch. Pero pag may pangalan si branch class, nabay pangalan? Okay, wala na di. So, you just put there, pag naipangalan si branch, so you just put there the name of the branch. Pero pag wala, investment in branch. So, debit investment in branch and credit to cash amounting to 28,672. Now, on the part of the branch, that would be a debit to cash, kaya siya man ang nakadawat, and credit to home office equity. So, class, you may use home office current. Okay, dire po sa investment in branch, you may use branch current. Okay, so these two are the reciprocal accounts and they should have balance amounts. Okay, so that is 28,672. Okay, next, number 2. The Home Office ship inventory to branch. Intra-company billings totaled 61,440, which was the Home Office cost. Both the Home Office and branch use a periodic system. Okay? So, nag-ship na po taog inventory. So, that would still be a debit to investment in branch. Okay? Now, since inventory man ang ito ang ship, so that is a credit to shipment to branch. Okay? Shipments to branch amounting to 61,440. On the part of the branch, debit shipments from home office and credit to home office equity. Okay? Home office equity, that is 61,400. Oops. 61,440. Okay? Next, number 3. The branch acquired merchandise display equipment which cost 12,288. Okay, on July 1, 2016, as a matter of company policy, branch fixed assets are carried on the home office books. So class, money usual may tabo. Kung na-equipment nga paliton si branch, no, na siya equipment paliton, ang mo-record ang mo-maintain sa record sa equipment would be the home office. Okay, bahala pag si branch ang bayad sa cash. But the account title or the recording of that equipment kay dito sa home office. So, unsay mahitabo ana? So, nagpalit siya og display equipment. So, the part of the home office, siyang mag-debit sa display equipment. Okay, amounting to 12,288. Now, kinsa man ang nagbayad? Di ba si branch, no? So, kumbaga, ang equipment, debit ni home office. Pero ang branch, credit ni cash, no? 12,288. Now, unsa may kuan ani nila? Sa may credit ani ni home office, din sa man ang debit ni branch. So that would be their reciprocal accounts. Okay, so on the part of the home office, debit display equipment, and credit to investment in branch. Okay, 12,288. Also, on the part of the branch, we have po debit, home office, equity, credit, cash. 12,288. Okay, so next, number 4. The branch purchase inventory costing 44,032 from outside vendors on account. So class, even though there are times that the home office will be the one to ship merchandise or to ship inventory to the branch, there are also times nga si branch dito siya mo acquire sa outside vendors. So in that case, there will be no entry on the part of the home office. Kay dili man siya transaction between the home office and the branch. This is a transaction between the branch and the outside vendors. So sa iyahan lang ang journal entry, debit purchases and credit accounts payable. Okay, so since that is purchase on account, that amounts to 44,032. Okay, 44,032. Next, number 5. The branch had credit sales of 87,040 and cash sales of 35,840. So again, this is not a transaction between the home office and the branch, but between the branch and its customers. So sa iyaha lang ang journal entry. So debit, cash, debit, accounts receivable, and credit to sales. By how much? The cash sales is 35,840, while the credit sales is 87,040. So the total sales amounts to 122,880. Okay? So that is number 5. Next, number 6. The branch collected 4556 of its accounts receivable. So again, a transaction not between the home office and the branch. So that is debit to cash and credit accounts receivable. So amounting to 45,056. Okay, 45,056. And the next, the branch paid outside vendors. So, number 7, no entry lang gihapon on the part of the home office. But for the branch, that would be a debit to accounts payable and credit to cash for 28,672. Okay, that is the payment. No? Okay, next, number 8. The branch incurred selling expenses of 15,360 and general and administrative expenses of 12,288. These expenses were paid in cash when they were incurred and include the expense of leasing the branch facilities. So again, another entry that is not between the home office and the branch. So in the part of the branch, that would be debit, selling expenses, debit, general and administrative expenses, and credit to cash. So that amounts to 15,360 and 12,288 with a total credit of 27,648. Okay? And the next is number 9. For number 9, the home office charged the branch 2,048 for its share of insurance. So, kumbaga si home office, nagbayad siya og insurance. Pero, kanang naay share si branch ato nga 2,048. So, sa may mahitabuan ni. Now, since kang branch man nga insurance expense, so dapat naa sa iyang record ang debit to insurance expense, no? Pero since si home office man ang bayad, so naa sa iyang record ang credit to cash. So unsa na lang man ang ilahang corresponding debit ni home office o corresponding credit ni branch. So that would be, again, pareha ganiha sa kang gibuhat sa equipment, that would be their reciprocal accounts. Okay, for the payment of the insurance, that would be investment in branch, okay, amounting to 2,048. And then on the part of branch, debit insurance expense and credit to home office equity, okay, amounting to 2,058. Okay? 2,048 there. 2,048. Okay, so nga na ha, 2,048. Okay, next, number 10. Okay, for number 10, depreciation expense and the display equipment acquired by the branch of December is 1,024. So, plus, this is part of the adjusting entries. So, later lang na ito ni siya i-record. And then, the branch remitted 10,024 cash to the home office. Okay, for number 10, ako rin ibutan dali ha, see adjusting entries. And then, for number 11, the branch remitted 10,024 cash to the home office. So, nag-remit of cash si branch. So, that is debit to cash and credit to investment in branch. Okay, amounting to 10,024. And at the part of the branch, nag-remit siya, mugamay ang home office equity and then credit to cash. That is 10,024. Okay? And then for number 12, branches physical inventory on December 31, 2014 is 33,792, of which 25,600 was acquired from the home office. There was no beginning inventory. Okay, for number 12, butangan ako dali, see closing entries. Okay? See closing entries. Nara ni siya sa closing entries. Now, okay, let's have our adjusting entries. Okay, for the adjusting entries, so unsa ganito katong number 10, no? Nara tay isa ka adjusting entries that pertains to the depreciation. Depreciation expense on the display equipment is 1,024. So class, ahaman nga to i-record. Di ba? Remember, the display equipment was recorded in the home office. No? Kang branch, wala gi-record ang display equipment. But take note that since this expense is attributable to the branch, so dapat kang branch na to i-record ang depreciation expense. Now, unsaon man nga ang iyahang display equipment, ang asset niya, gi-record man sa home office. So, what are we going to do in the adjusting entries? So, since the depreciation expense is attributable to the branch, so dito dyan na to i-record ang depreciation expense kang branch. Now, unsa man di ay ang journal entry when it comes to adjustment for depreciation, di ba? Debit depreciation expense and credit accumulated depreciation. Ang depreciation expense, dito na siya sa income statement. Ang accumulated depreciation, dito na siya sa assets. Now, since, again, the expense is attributable to the branch, so sa iyahan na to i-record ang depreciation expense. Okay? Depreciation expense. Now, how about the corresponding credit na accumulated depreciation? We cannot record in the branch the accumulated depreciation. Why? Kaya wala man sa iyaha ang display equipment nga asset. Now, since naaman kang home office ang display equipment nga asset, so the accumulated depreciation will be recorded in the home office. Okay? So, Accumulated depreciation of the display equipment. And of course, you have to identify that this is attributable to the branch. Okay, so ganiha, wala na ito nabutang, no? Display equipment branch. Okay, so, unsa man ang ilahang kuan ani? Corresponding debit and credit. So, just like what we did sa other transactions, butang lang nato ang ilahang reciprocal account. So, sa may debit diri kang home office, debit investment in branch. And by the way, you can also use branch current. So that is 1,024. And on the part of the branch, debit depreciation expense and credit home office equity 1,024. Okay, that is for our adjusting entries. So how about in the closing entries? Okay, so in the closing entries na ay duha, na closing entries on the part of the home office and closing entries on the part of the branch. Let's start first with the home office. So, unsa man ang closing entries ni home office ani? Kato lang pertaining sa iyang transaction na bay gihatag. Let us see. Home office. Okay, so walay gihatag nga closing entries sa transactions ni home office. So wala tay buhaton. Dire na ta diretso kang branch. Okay, so unsa may closing entries ni branch? Di ba atong gibuhat ganiha sa agency home office tay gitagsa-tagsa nato no, to close the sales, to close the cost of goods sold, to close the expenses. Kani ato alang isagol. Okay? So first, to close the sales. How much is the sales? So we have sales of 122,880. Okay? 122,880. So next is to record the merchandise inventory ending. Okay. How much is the merchandise inventory end? Nana siya diri sa number 12. The branch's physical inventory on December 31, 2014 is 33,792, of which 25,600 was acquired from the home office and there was no beginning inventory. So ang total branch physical inventory is 33,792. So you put there 33,792. Okay, next is to close the purchases and expenses. So do we have any purchases? So we have purchases of 44,032. So credit purchases 44,032. Okay, so aside sa purchases class, take note nga, aside sa ning purchase ta sa outside vendors, nagkuha po ta og inventory coming from the home office. So you also have to close this one. Okay, because this is a nominal account under the income statement. So credit shipments from home office, that is 61,440. Okay, and then after that is katanadayong mga expenses. So what are the expenses that we have? We have selling expenses, general expenses, insurance expense, and depreciation expense. So, ako lang i-copy. Selling and general expenses, that amounts to 15,360 and 12,288. And then we have insurance expense of 2,048. Insurance expense of 2,048. And then we have depreciation expense of 1,024. Okay? So whatever is the balance, ato siyang ibutang sa income summary. Okay, so pila man ang total debit na to? We have total debit of 156,672, no? Then we have total credit of 136,192. Okay, so pila man ang ato ang income summary or our profit. Okay, so we have income summary of 156,672 minus 136,192. That is 20,480. Okay, this is our income summary. This will serve as our profit for the period. Now, class, since ato man ni siyang i-combine sa home office, so what are we going to do? So, murara po ka nang nag-close ka og profit dito sa equity sa isa ka sole proprietor. So, that would be debit to income summary and credit to debit to income summary and credit to home office equity, amounting to 20,480. Okay? So, class, since nag-record man tag transaction involving the home office equity account, so dapat napo na siya corresponding journal entry diri sa home office. Okay? So, kay nadungagan man ang home office equity because of the profit, so madungagan po ang investment in branch. Okay? So, pila galito? That amounts to 20,480. So, sa may corresponding credit, anak class? Okay, so the corresponding credit would be, di ba pag na-profit, we will credit the income summary. So, maura po na siya diri, but we will specify branch income summary of 20,480. Okay? And then next is, parehas atong gibuhat niya sa agency. From the income summary of Antonio Agency, ato siyang gisagol sa general account nga income summary. So, same na gihapon diri, debit branch income summary, and then credit the general account nga income summary. Okay, of 20,480. Then sa pay last, ana, kung sa corporation, natay retained earnings, so we will have to close this income summary to the retained earnings. Okay, so debit income summary and credit to retained earnings amounting to 20,480. Okay, so this is the closing entries for the branch accounting. Okay, so those are the requirements needed for this transaction. Okay. So the problem is, will usually ask you, pila ang combined income statement, pila ang combined net income, pila ang net income ni home office, pila ang net income ni branch. So you just compute for the income of the home office, you just compute for the net income of the branch, and then you add the two if ang gipangutana is the combined net income. Actually, class, wala kayo problema when it comes to billing at cost. Okay, dito ang medyo complicated kung billing above cost. Okay, since lahi-lahi naman ang ilahang mga cost, so there would be adjustment to the cost of goods sold. Okay, which atalang na siyang i-discuss karon or sunod kung makaabot pa ta. Okay, do you have any questions? Questions? Just raise your hands. Question? Miss Lachmay, do you have question?
Wala man.
Okay, how about the others? Gusto ra ba walay question kay Kuan? Wala na minaw. Joke. Joke lang. Sige, kanang... Did you understand? Understand? Okay ra? Wala man lagi pangutana si Arthur karon.
Ma'am, naamang ko, ma'am.
Pero wala kay pangutana, Tor.
Daghan,
Okay.
ma'am, pero kalibo. Unya na lang, ma'am, chat na lang ko na yung ma'am.
Hindi ko.
Mabasa pa ko, ma'am. Wala pa ako kabasa, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Okay, so actually, wala ako yung sample problem sa at cost. Ang nara diri kay na above cost. Ako yung sample problem na butang diri. So, by the next time, mag-answer ta, example problem, anyway, same-same raman ang branch accounting. So, ako nang ako nang i-sample diretso ang above cost next meeting. Okay? Kay kung makabalo na mo sa above cost, so that means wala na yung problema ang at cost. So that's why ako ang mga problems diri is above cost. Okay, so naana na yung 15 minutes na bilin. Actually, gusto po unta ako nga buhaton ng journal entry ani pero I guess ma-short na ta sa time. So next time na lang ni. So I still have a lot of problems here that needs to be discussed. Okay. So here transfer above cost, at cost and markup. Okay, so pwede po mo mag-advance sa answer ani class, no? Based on your book. So we also have here other problems nga sa manina diri. Okay, above cost, at cost, and markup. Kani siya, kumbaga, gi-breakdown ni siya. Okay, and this is usually the kanang technique nga solution sa pag-answer sa problem. I-breakdown ni mo silang tulo. Okay, ato na siyang i-discuss sunod. And then, sa mali nga problem. Okay, so this is this is reconciliation of the balance of the investment in branch and home office. So actually kani nga type of problem nisudjud ni siya. Okay, even ako usahay no kay maglibog ra gihapon ko. So you have to master this one. Okay? Dayon, this one is also reconciliation of the balances. So the good problem dira for you to master kani siya still reconciliation since adjustment man jud ni siya class. So it requires analysis. Okay? So understanding sa every transaction and then knowing kinsa ang naay error. So kinsa ang ato ang tagaan og correction. Si branch current ba or si home office current. Then another problem. Okay, so there are a lot of problems involving reconciliation. So that means you have to master reconciliation. And then, sa pa ni dire. Kani siya, computing the combined income. And of course, compute the overstatement. Thus, in the case of above cost, there will be overstatement because di ba, gipa, tasan man ni home office ang cost sa merchandise. So, na-overstate ang cost of sales. So, na-understate ang net income. So, we will have to know how to adjust. And then, kani siya, lastly, kato ni siya akong gingon kaganihan that there will be more than one nga branch. So, in this case, na ay duha ka branches. So, naay possibility na mamali og ship ang goods. So, magka-problema na punta sa freight or mamali og send ang cash. No? So, there will be, again, another adjustments. Okay? So, hopefully, we can finish by next meeting because the last day for the first sem would be December 19. So, sem break na dayon. So, mo na lang dyan niya itong i-discuss for the finals. Okay? Other concerns? Wala na, no? Kaya mag-dismiss na ta. Okay, so wala naman siguro. Silent mode lang tanan. When ang exam? Okay, so the exam would be more or less December, Saturday ta, December 19 or pwede po 20, Sunday. 19 or 20. Depends upon your availability. Okay. By the way, can I know what are your major subjects? May I know what are your major subjects? Accounting 301, 302, auditing, And Mora,
Odd
kung
job.
ano ka ba?
Upat, ma'am.
Upat, ma'am.
Worry and problem.
Yes,
QT, ma'am.
ma'am.
Odd
Business
para tapos
comma.
book.
Okay, it's a business com. Okay. Okay, sige. So, wala na, no? So, that would be all for today. Mag-dismiss na ko. Thank you for attending and you may now leave the call. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye,
Bye,
salamat.
ma'am.
Hey, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Goodbye.